These heart cutout furniture pieces bring me back to my childhood in the late 80s, early 90s, along with those little plastic geese that used to be everywhere with the light blue and the mauve colored scarves and hats. I'm going to cover up these hearts and get rid of them. I'm using a piece of Luan board and a clamp to create a barrier for my Bondo so that way it will hold it in when I fill up these hearts. I'm just using an all-purpose Bondo and it's a two-part mixture. I believe it's a 17-to-1 ratio. So just a small dab of the hardener to the Bondo is all that you need to activate it and get it to harden. I have these wooden appliques and I've had them forever and I just haven't found a piece to use them on. So I'm going to use them on this and glue them over top of the middle heart. I'm using my favorite wood glue, Gorilla brand. I'm not sponsored. I just love the stuff. I'm using this Rust-Oleum milk paint in the color called Venetian Yellow. And this is already pre-mixed. And if you have never used milk paint before, it's very thin and translucent. So I needed a lot of coats to get a full coverage. I believe it was like about 5 coats it took to get full opaque coverage. I'm going for a very boho, bright, colorful vibe on this piece. So I'm using Made by Marley Magic Decoupage paper and I'm applying some Mod Podge with a sponge and that is going to help get me really smooth, even coverage before I apply my paper. Made by Marley Magic paper is much thicker than most decoupage paper, so you do not need to paint your background white before you apply your paper. So I'm applying it right over top of the yellow, smoothing out all of the wrinkles with my hands, and then I take a plastic sandwich bag and rub out any more wrinkles that I can find. After the decoupage medium has dried, I'm going to take some sandpaper and sand off the excess areas. And I'm going to use these pieces to cover up the spaces on the left and the right of the image. I'm doing some fussy cutting on this. And I'm just basically cutting around the leaves and some of the other elements that are on this paper, the flowers and the branches, and then I'm going to overlap and cover up the existing decoupage paper that I've already applied. And this is just a great way to layer this paper, and you can't even tell it wasn't like that in the beginning. It just looks like it should have been that way. I really appreciate how Lel and Marty have designed this paper to function this way. It makes life super easy when you might not have enough paper to cover an area, but you have scraps that you can incorporate into the edges and make it work. On the areas where the leaves are like cut off and only partially viewed in the placement in the paper, all I do is I cut them to a point so I make them look more natural, like a leaf shape, and that just solves that problem. This way, when I lay them over top of the paper, they don't look like a flat edge. They look like a like they fit right into the paper. I'm using a bronze metallic glaze, and I believe this is a Martha Stewart brand, to highlight the wooden applique and to kind of just dirty up the surface, I guess, and make it look a little bit more aged and old. And I do apply this in a couple of different ways. I will take a paper towel and I'll apply it with a brush and then I'll wipe it off. And I do use a mister bottle, spray it water on, and then wipe it off. And then I do some dry brushing on the edges as well. I'm using a spray lacquer to seal everything. This is just easier with all of those spindles and legs, and it just was quicker than using a brush on method. I have this fabric that I will be recovering the bench seat with. I liked that the pattern sort of mimicked the background pattern in the decoupage paper, and then of course it was yellow. I just cut everything out and then I ironed out all of the wrinkles. I made sure I had a little bit extra along the sides so that way I can tuck under the fabric when I staple it so I get a nice clean looking edge, and it just looks more professional that way. I'm making sure to pull everything tight, and I do use some spray adhesive to kind of help keep the fabric in position and keep the pattern aligned. My hubby helped me to put the bench seat back on because A, it's always easier with two people, and B, because when the fabric is over top of the existing screw holes, it's always harder to get the screw to go through that thick fabric. So here is a look at the before, and here is the final review. Bright, fun, happy, and I love this Made by Marley paper. It's so beautiful and it's really easy to work with. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like content like this, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And thank you all so much for watching. And I hope you all have a great day. Bye.